Welcome to Becoming a Financially Confident Woman, the podcast that helps high-achieving women take control of their money and build wealth with confidence. I'm your host, Dr. April Murdaugh, financial advisor, college professor, and founder of Woman to Woman Financial. I've got women through retirement planning, generational wealth building, and everyday money decisions. Beyond the credentials, I understand the struggles on a personal level. I've experienced widowhood, divorce, homelessness, and the challenges of being a single parent. Those experiences shaped my mission to help women like you gain the clarity, confidence, and strategies you need to take control of your financial future. This podcast is where professional expertise meets real-life experience, so you can move forward without fear or overwhelm. Let's dive in. Hey everyone, this is Dr. April Murdaugh, CEO and founder of Woman to Woman Financial, and welcome to today's podcast. Today I'm going to talk about something that I struggled with, and sometimes I still do. I'm not going to lie. We're going to talk about why smart women feel insecure about money. And believe it or not, there are a lot of us out here who feel that way. And so I want to ask you a question. Have you ever looked at your bank account, your retirement account, or your business finances and thought, oh my God, I should have figured this out by now. Like, why don't I have this under control? And my famous question to myself is, what's wrong with me? Why can't I get this together? If you've asked yourself those questions, you know what? You are just not alone. Some of the smartest, most successful women I know still feel insecure about money. And today, we're going to talk about why. So there are some things I want to tell you that I have observed in the work that I do as to why smart, successful women come to me and they feel so insecure about their money. I want you to know that just because you're smart, just because you're successful, intelligence just does not equal financial confidence. They're two separate things. You may be great at the work that you do, but this financial thing, you don't feel necessarily confident. You can be a physician, an attorney, an executive, a business owner, and still feel uncertain about money. See, most women in our society were never taught how to build, manage, and retain wealth. I mean, where are they teaching that to us women? And the crazy thing is now more of us women are educated, becoming business owners, and moving in to CEO suites and executive level positions than ever before. But financial confidence comes from education and experience, and not because you're smart. So that's the first problem. And you know, I used to think that'd be like at the time when I started this, I was like, I have a master's degree. Are you serious? Like, I'm running this and I've done this. And you mean to tell me I can't get this under control? What is wrong with me? Two totally different topics, two totally different subjects. So that's the first thing. I want you to understand that comparison is destroying your confidence. You see, social media makes it seem like everyone else has it figured out. We see these influencers on TikTok and Instagram, and they look well, and they seem like they have their money together, and they're even giving tips and stuff, right? But not everybody has it figured out, right? And we compare our behind-the-scenes struggles to everyone else's highlight reel, right? So I sit home on Fridays and I do my finances for my business and my personal, and then I log in or I just hear clips and everyone seems to be doing well, especially in business. And I'm like, well, why am I just making ends meet, right? I'm judging myself based on what I'm seeing or the highlight reel. And y'all, it will destroy your confidence. It just totally destroy it. And I want you to know that wealth is a lot more quieter than it appears. It really is. There's a saying, broke is flashy and broke is loud and wealth is quiet. And you may even hear of, I don't know if you guys heard of the janitor, okay, who left several $1 million to an HBCU some years ago. You know, he wasn't flashy. He didn't have a highlight reel of how successful he was and how much money he was making. He was quiet. He was methodical. He did dollar cost averaging and he saved money. And boom, he was able to pass away and give his wealth to charity. So, wealth is often quieter than it appears. And the other reason that this happens is because many women have or carry financial trauma. A lot of women that come to see me, they have a lot of trauma when it comes to finances. I know I do. I have, and I struggle with some of it. It could be things like divorce, could be job loss. It could be growing up financially unstable, right? Or it could be being responsible for everyone else's needs except your own, right? So past experiences can create fear even when current finances are stable. And, I have this one kid, she always pushes the limits with me. I have 4 kids, and all of them were, they're all great kids. And they're all adults now. But you had that one kid that just didn't follow the rules. Like, if you said, like there was a rule, no dating or boyfriends till you were 18, like that was the rule. But this one kid, she defied every rule that was set. She had her own mind and she was just not going to follow the rules, right? And so for me, when I started becoming more financially stable, I struggled with the fact that I had it. And this one kid would always say to me, Mom, you got it. Why are you tripping? You saying you broke, you ain't broke. And I'd be like, girl, shut up. Or we'd be in a store. I never forget when I got my doctorate degree. And one of my dreams is to buy a Gucci bag. I remember coming up in Brooklyn and all of my friends were able to purchase a Gucci bag and I just never seemed like I was able to buy one. And so now here I am at that time in my early 40s, and I wanted to buy a Gucci bag. And so we had gone on vacation after I got my doctorate. We'd gone on a cruise and I kept saying, oh gosh, I want to buy one. And we stopped in the Bahamas and there was a Gucci store and I go in the Gucci store and I'm looking around and I see a nice bag and this one kid is with me. Well, all the kids were with me, but this one kid is like, and I'm like, nah, I just can't do like $3,000 on a purse. And she was like, really, Mom? Like, you really not? Nah, I'm not going to get it. It was like I had so much trauma because I'm thinking about spending that money and then thinking about, oh my God, next month, what if things don't work out? Like, it was freaking me out, right? And so I had so much financial trauma that it prevented me from doing some of the things that I could do financially and just was too scared to do. So a lot of us, high achieving women, successful women, we have some financial trauma that also contributes to this phenomenon. And then I want you to know that high income doesn't eliminate money anxiety. And y'all, I got both my hands raised and the little snaps, the kids, I got it all going on because just because you make a lot of money doesn't mean you're not going to be anxious about it, especially if you've had some financial trauma, especially if you're the first in your family to do this and so. First person in your bloodline to make 6 figures, first person in your bloodline to get a doctorate, first person in your bloodline to make 7 figures. Sometimes for some women, it still does not eliminate the money anxiety. There was a post I made that said, you can make 6 figures and still be broke, right? That's a thing. That is a thing. It's what you call that a lifestyle creep, right? Or a lifestyle inflation creep. The more money you make, the more your lifestyle goes up. And now you're living paycheck to paycheck. Or what they used to say, you're broke at a higher level. Still broke. You're just broke talking about, 5-figure brokenness and 6-figure brokenness as opposed to being broke at the poverty level. So many 6-figure earners, though, still live paycheck to paycheck. The issue, though, is not income. The issue is not having a system. And y'all, I had to unpack this with my life coach this week, is making sure that I had systems. See, because there's a saying, it's not about how much you make, it's about how much you keep. Sometimes when, especially again, you're the first and you're like, oh my God, I'm making this money. Like, I'm blown away that I'm making this much money. Like, I'm bringing in 5 figures a month. And you're so blown away, but then there's no system in place to help you keep some of it. Now, you should enjoy it. You need to pay your bills, but you also need to have a system in place to keep it. And I tell you, mine, I'll be honest, was up and down sometimes. So that's also a reason. Money insecurity frequently comes from a lack of clarity, not a lack of money. So again, money insecurity frequently comes from a lack of clarity, not a lack of money. So it's like, yeah, I'm making all this money, right? And yes, I'm able to take care of myself. I'm able to give my children the lifestyle that I want them to have. I'm able to provide myself that lifestyle, but I really don't have any clarity on what that looks like or, how to get rid of the anxiety that I'm feeling, even though I'm in a good space. And I'll tell you, you really need to unpack that with a therapist. I don't know if you guys heard the other episode. I interviewed a therapist, Dr. Lauren Chase, and she does work with clients and boundaries and finances. And so I would encourage you to kind of unpack that with someone like her. And I would also encourage you to get yourself a coach. I used to think it was hocus pocus, overpriced people giving you rah-rah advice. And it's so much more deeper than that. And I have an excellent coach. Her name is Sophia Hyde. I'll put her link in the comments. I'll put Dr. Lauren's information in the show notes so that you can have them. But I would encourage you to unpack this because I'm still unpacking it, even as I work in this industry. And so I would imagine, like, for women like myself and high achieving women that are dealing with this, that the real goal, and I figure this out for myself, the real goal is not peace. It's not perfection, excuse me. It's peace. The real goal is having financial peace, not being perfect. You don't need to know everything. And you don't need $1 million to feel secure. You need a plan. You need a process. You need a system, and you need confidence in your ability to make decisions. And so that is something that I help my clients work through. I really try to help them work through those issues, those thoughts, those feelings. You work hard for your money. Now it's time to keep more of it. Join my 4-week wealth intensive and learn the exact money retention strategies I teach my clients to build wealth with confidence. Starting June 23rd, registration is just $497. Secure your spot today. Some of the things I want you to start doing for yourself, and I'll give you one tip and one thing that I have employed in my life and that has increased my financial confidence to the 100th level, millionth level, is this idea of paying yourself first. Now, we say it all the time, pay myself first, pay myself first, pay myself first. But I believe the best form of self-care is managing your money because it gives you a sense of peace that you're okay. Now, it especially for women. Women are nurturers. We want security and we want stability. And so if your finances are okay, you feel, a lot of women I see have a sense of peace. Where they're not clear or they feel confused, they avoid it. They stick their head in the sand and they avoid it. And so one breakthrough that happened for me was really honing in on this idea of paying myself first. And so I know it sounds like basic, and I know you've heard it 100 times over, but just not the idea. Now it is putting a system in place to make that a reality for me. And I can save, and then of course something always comes up and it just wipes out my savings, right? A kid needs something, an unexpected bill happens, the car breaks down, and it's like, woof, I'm back to square zero, right? So we all have experienced that. But when I really started unpacking this with my coach, I really thought about this idea of systematically paying myself first and having something in place to make that happen. Now, I could be talking very elementary to you guys out there, and you guys could be like, girl, I already got that. And that's fine. And if you're that person, great. I'm glad you got it on lock. But some of us don't. And so what I did and what I do is, even in my business now, whatever comes in, I don't care if I get $50. I automatically take $5 and transfer it to a fund that I name called the Peace of Mind Fund. This is the account that I can look at it and it gives me peace of mind. Because if crap hits the fan, I know I got my peace of mind account. It's out of my hands. It's not attached to my main accounts. I can't log into my Bank of America and see it. I have to go into a different account. And for me to access the money, it's going to take 2 to 3 days to get to my other account. I named it my peace of mind account. And you know what? I did the same for my business because I wasn't doing that for my business consistently, right? It was like everything that was coming in, it needed to go somewhere. And I had a bill to pay. I had payroll to make. I had technology to pay for. Everything went somewhere. But I was like, ho. I want to make sure that I have peace of mind for when the months are lean and it ain't looking too great. And I still need to pay these bills, right? So I have a peace of mind account for my personal life, and I have a peace of mind account for my business. And everything that comes in to those accounts, the main operations accounts for my personal life and my business, I take 1/10 of it and I transfer it to my peace of mind account. And y'all, I cannot tell you the peace of mind it gives me. I share that with you. But other things I want you to think about is, listen, don't measure your financial success against other people. Don't, really. You know, they say people buy things to impress people who are broke. Like, don't do that, right? You have to ask yourself these questions. Am I making better decisions than I was a year ago? You know, and it could be something as simple as, you know, using cash for groceries, if that's the change that you made from last year. But look at what you were doing last year and ask yourself that question. Is my net worth growing? That's a question I would ask myself. Am I moving toward my goals? See, I want you to compare you to you. It's you against you, not you against Facebook, Instagram, social media, all the people that got all things to say. It's you against you. You know, that's why I like to work out. I was unpacking why with my therapist, why I do extracurricular activities that are solo activities. Like I just picked up crocheting and I love crocheting. I can sit in my house and crochet and listen to a podcast. And that's like my self-care time. I enjoy that. I love working out at Orange Theory. I work out there. It's me against me. Yesterday, I was able to do 4 30-second all outs on the treadmill running when I just had knee surgery last year, right? It's me against me, right? How my comparison is not to what others are doing, but to me. And I used to be so hung up on comparing myself to others. I remember growing up And a friend of mine had two parents. Both parents had two cars. And here I'm schlepping the bus. My mother didn't even know how to drive at the time. And I would compare myself, or better yet, I would compare myself where I would go to her house and we can get like a bologna and cheese sandwich. And in my house, we didn't have cold cuts. Like, so to me, it was a delicacy. And I'll never forget when I got better and grew up and had kids. And so having lunch meat in the refrigerator with sliced cheddar cheese was like a big deal to me. And so when my kids were hungry or wanted a snack, I was like always going, go get a sandwich, go get a sandwich. And they were like, Mom, like, because sandwiches were delicacy for you. That doesn't mean it was for me, right? Because I measured myself against the way they lived, that they could have sandwiches back in the 80s. And we didn't have lunch meat like that in the house. So don't compare yourself to someone else. Compare yourself to your past, not someone else's present. And then create a simple money system. Remember, confidence comes from clarity, right? So just like, I said, I created that system for myself. You need to understand what comes in each month. I cannot tell you rather, the number of high achieving, successful, go-getter women who have no clue as to how much comes in every month. You need to know that. What goes out every month? How much are you saving? Do you have a system for saving for yourself, right? For your future. I met with a client yesterday and she told me she set up, and I'm so proud of her, 7 different bank accounts. And because she has a goal for vacation and she has a goal for retirement, and she has all these different accounts where the money gets allocated to those accounts because she's being intentional about it. She's putting this system in place because she knows if she looks at her main bank account and she sees all this money there, she's going to spend it. She's going to naturally be like, oh, I got extra money. And then when she wants to do something or she wants to go on vacation, she doesn't have the money, or now she has to pull from resources that she really shouldn't be pulling from, like using her credit card, right? So you've got to put a system in place that you can work by, right? And that requires you being self-aware, knowing what your triggers are, knowing that if I carry my credit card, I'm going to use it. And if I carry this debit card when I'm hanging, I'm going to use it. So understanding, becoming self-aware of what your triggers are that will impede your ability to meet your financial goals is also an important thing to do. You need to know how much debt you have, and you need to know what your next financial goal is. Like, what are you looking to achieve, right? And so I've been unpacking that too. It's like, okay, I have to hone down on exactly how much I want, or how much I want saved, or whatever it is. But whatever that next financial goal is, that should be the focus. You need to zero in on that. And then you've got to build evidence that you can handle money, right? So many women wait to feel confident before taking action. And it's the other way around, right? You got to take action and then the confidence grows. Think of it as working out. When I moved here, one of my goals was I didn't want to be fat at 40. Like, I was 39. I was like, I do not want to be fat at 40. But I was tired and I know how to work out. And, I see these people in my neighborhood running the streets and they look so nice and cool and slim and fit and in shape. But they had to start somewhere to get there. They had to take action. They had to step their foot on a treadmill and start walking at a 2-mile pace first. And then as they continue to do that, their confidence and the ability to get to whatever their goal is manifests. And then they became addicted. And that was me. Like, I didn't want to be fat at 40. I remember reading something that said wealthy people or runners tend to have higher levels of net worth. And I was like, well, I want to be a runner. So I didn't know how to run. Like, there's an art to it or science. I didn't know, but I would see people running, and you can't just take off running, y'all. Those of you who are runners know you got to build up to that thing. And so what I did was I would look at a lamppost in my neighborhood and I would jog to that. And when I got to the first lamppost, I was ready to die, right? But then I would get myself together, get my breathing back, and I would jog to the next lamppost, right? So slowly but surely, I developed confidence. It helped me build my confidence. It helped me build my stamina. Then I started running 5Ks, 10Ks, and half marathons, right? So you have to take the first step. And when you do, you have to take action. And when you do, confidence will follow. So you can start by just saving, I don't know, the first $1,000, the first $5,000. You could start by paying off just one credit card. Like we talk about the snowball method, but you all may have that card that you like, I'm so sick of paying this thing. I want to just wrangle it. Well, focus on that card, just that one card, and pay it off. Maybe it's you want to save more for retirement. So, people say, I got to save $500 a month. No, maybe just increase your 401k contribution by 1%, or heck, even 0.5%, right? But just a little bit. Or just build 1 month of emergency savings, right? So if you know that it takes $5,000 a month for you to live that lifestyle, maybe have a goal of saving $5,000 1 month of your living expenses. Whatever it is, you have to take action before you become self-confident. So this is what I want to leave you with. See, financial confidence doesn't come from having more money. That is such a misnomer. It comes from trusting yourself with the money that you already have. Thanks for listening to Becoming a Financially Confident Woman. I know from experience that confidence with money can change everything. Be sure to subscribe, share this podcast with another woman who needs encouragement, and visit Woman to Woman Financial to schedule your confidential financial conversation. Remember, you are becoming a financially confident woman.